Bruce, you must have something really good too.
Of course I do. It's Bruce Danielson, and I guess I'm here to entertain you too.
Good to go.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
You driving? You want me to drive?
You drive. Your house.
All right. All right, I'm driving the meeting. Welcome. Joint Sioux Falls City Council, Lincoln County Commission meeting. Thanks for joining us. I think we'll go ahead and get started we have to determine if there is a quorum.
Yep.
And we'll start with the city. I'll ask just for a roll call of the city, please.
Councilmembers Brecky. Here. Erickson. Kiley.
Here.
Neitzert.
Here.
Selberg.
Here.
Sale.
Here.
Starr.
Here.
Lee. Here.
All right, we have a quorum on the city side.
Sean, you want to call the roll for Lincoln County, please?
Commissioner Gillespie?
Here.
Commissioner Landine?
Here.
Commissioner Poppins?
By phone here.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Present. We have a quorum as well.
All right. All right, then we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll look to approve the agenda. Ask for a motion on the city side to do that.
Move to approve. Second.
All right, motion approved by Kiley and seconded by Sale. Let's take a vote on that, please.
Councilmembers Brecky. Yes. Erickson. Kiley.
Yes.
Neitzert.
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Staley. Yes.
All right, that passes and the agenda is approved.
Lincoln County needs to have approved the agenda, so would Sean roll call, please? We need a motion first, excuse me.
So move, Mr. Chairman. Landine.
Second, Gillespie.
Motion made by Landine, second by Gillespie. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gillespie?
Yes.
Commissioner Landine?
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt?
Yes. Motion carries 4-0.
All right, we'll ask the Sioux Falls City Council clerk to read our item into record for agenda item number 1.
Second reading and ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised joint zoning ordinance for Lincoln County and the City of Sioux Falls by rezoning property legally described as the north 1/2 of the southwest quarter, except the north 375 feet of the west 290 feet thereof, and accept tracts 1A and 2 of Koenig's edition thereof, and bridges of Spring Creek, Track 1 of Section 22, Township 100 North, Range 49 west of the 5th Principal Meridian, Lincoln County, South Dakota, from the A1 Agricultural District to the RR Rural Residential District.
I'm going to ask the representative for the Lincoln County Chair will ask the item representative to speak on the item. So, Toby, get all that out of my mouth here.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Toby Brown with County Planning. The applicant and owner for this project is Kathy Kruger. Site location of this is identified with the agenda item triangle. Essentially, this project is a mile west of Highway 11, approximately a quarter mile north on 479th Avenue. 479th Avenue is a township road. The land use plan for this project identifies this area as rural area. This project is outside of the 2040 growth area for the City of Sioux Falls. Some general policy that is found within the comprehensive plan specifically is limit the subdivision of land for non-farm related residential development outside the urban service area to low density projects that will not conflict with agricultural operations or create negative financial impacts on local governments for provisions of public service and facilities. Existing zoning designation, the areas outlined on the map, the project areas. As you can see, there are some contiguous properties that are zoned rural residential. This property was part initially when the county and the city agreed to joint jurisdiction in 2006. This property was part of that area. The areas that are zoned rural residential were rezoned by the county in the late 90s to facilitate residential development. The property adjacent directly to the South Whispering Ridge Estates, that property was parceled before the county adopted density zoning, so that property did not require a rezone to rural residential, but as you can see, it's fully developed as residential at this time. This was the concept plan that was submitted with the application. The applicant is proposing to subdivide her approximately 50-acre property into 18.39 acres for residential development. That would facilitate into 8 residential lots. There are 9 lots shown, but the 1 lot is not buildable. Staff findings were that this applicant's proposal is in conformance with the comprehensive plan for the joint jurisdictional area. The proposed amendment would be consistent with the goals and policies that are found within that plan, as well as that this amendment would further the purpose of the zoning ordinance, which, as you can see, there was some like zoning in the surrounding area. And this proposed zone would be is similar to what those surrounding areas are. Also, again, that this wouldn't affect unreasonably the adjacent properties because of the similar zoning and the proposed use. Public process, Planning Commission did meet on November 13th. Sioux Falls Planning Commission recommended 5-0 to recommended adoption. Lincoln County Planning Commission recommended approval 4-1. So that overall the recommended approval was to rezone this request from the A1 Agricultural District to the RR Rural Residential Zoning District. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have for staff at this time.
Toby, would you go back to the original slide showing the location right there?
Yep.
Right there. How many of those properties now are or have rural residential status, or how close to a populated area of multi-housing are this particular development?
As you can see, it's contiguous directly to major subdivision residential development, which
So
is
we have
a
some
criteria that this board has utilized in the past for condition or criteria for rezoning is contiguous zoning.
As you can see, this isn't in the middle of just starting something brand new. This is kind of a continuation of what's been going on out there by Spring Creek.
Yes. So you go a little bit further to the east, and that's where Spring Creek Golf Course and development is, too.
Yeah. Okay. Are there further questions for Toby and his presentation?
Thank you.
Toby, refresh for everyone, if you would, who has the subdivision ordinance or control for this area?
Well, the joint jurisdiction area is governed by the subdivision ordinance for the city of Sioux Falls.
And who does the enforcement, per se, of those requirements?
The city of Sioux Falls.
And does anybody from this, is anybody from the Sioux Falls willing to clarify how they would do the oversight in that area?
So are you asking about inspections of the improvements of the subdivision?
Correct. And oversight.
Okay.
Excuse me. Good afternoon. Jason Bieber with Planning and Development Services. Toby is correct. This is in our joint jurisdiction area, and we do have joint platting jurisdiction of this parcel. And as part of this request today, we do have a request for a preliminary subdivision plan, and that's been through all of our city departments and has been approved through our subdivision process. And then once the applicant starts, if it's approved tonight, then the applicant would move on to what we call the development engineering process, and those documents and the construction plans, and then actually plat individual lots. Those would all go through the city of Sioux Falls, and we would look at that and either approve or deny those next aspects of it. So we would approve all of this in the joint jurisdiction area.
Thank you for that. But would an actual on-site to inspect to verify that the plans that were followed?
I believe we do that. I'm not in the engineering department, so I'm not 100% sure on that, but I would assume we would have to look at it somewhat to make sure that it does meet our subdivision ordinance.
Thank you.
Further questions? Okay. Is there members, anybody in the audience that would have any questions or comments at this time? Hearing none. Is there anybody on our joint group here that would like to ask further questions or further clarification? Any of you? Reminds me of third grade. No one talks here.
Well, what input did the township have on this? Have they had any input in it as far as how this is going to affect the township roads?
Commissioner, after looking at this, I'm very familiar with this area, and I doubt sincerely if it will impact a township road to any great degree, because they're closer to 106, they're closer to our several of the county highways. And maybe the developers would like to comment on that, if you would.
Yeah. Actually, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a comment.
Go right ahead, Commissioner.
I am not at all opposed to this property getting rezoned in due time. I think that our history has been that we have not approved areas for rezoning when it is adjacent to a township road in the past. I do believe that there is being a transition into a more open-mindedness to that. But all I need to do is remind everyone on the Lincoln County side what we're dealing with municipalities that are already growing into the rural areas and the needs for the improvement into those township roads, and that the infrastructure or the means to make those improvements were not thought of, and now they're trying to work through an implementation of plans where developers that are impacting those would participate in those types of improvements. And we at this present time lack to have that, I think, being part of our rezoning into these areas, and that I would ask that we look to our planning and zoning staff to try to come up with, and do come up with, means so that the general taxpayers throughout the county are not burdened with improving roads and other infrastructures that have truly benefited those that have benefited by the redevelopment of property.
Would the proponents come up and respond to some of these questions that have been raised about township roads, et cetera?
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, and council members. My name is Kathy Kruger, and I'm the developer of the owner of this property. I'm excited to bring this proposal forward for the development of this property. We searched for 3 years to find this property. I wanted an acreage. We wanted to live outside of the city limits. We wanted this. We finally found it. I've owned this property for almost 17 years, and it was a dream of building a home and someday developing the rest of the land for other homes. The proposal in front of you today is to develop 18 acres into executive-style home lots. This area is unique to Lincoln County with the rolling landscape, Spring Creek meandering through the property, and a railroad track with railroad ties removed that run the length of the property. There are 4 old concrete bridges along the path with granite pavers under the bridge so you can hear the flow of the water. Each bridge is imprinted with the date 1890. This property it's a gem. The land is located only 10 minutes east of Sioux Falls. It's also located near Gooder State Park, Spring Creek Golf Course, Harmerdam Park, and Dowley Farms. The area is surrounded by other rural developments such as Whispering Ridge Estates, the Bluffs at Spring Creek, Finchley Estates, the Meadows at Spring Creek, and Twin Creek Estates, consisting of over 75 acreages all in this area. The proposed development, Bridges at Spring Creek, would fit beautifully into this area. I started this development process a year ago, meeting with the various survey firms to find one that would match and could make my vision a reality. We've met with many members of Lincoln County, the city of Sioux Falls, had many meetings, and there were several suggestions and requests that were made. We did our best to accommodate everything into our plan. We covered all the bases when we met with this development team, including we met with the Springdale Township. We talked to the people who maintained the Springdale roads, and they decided that 479th Avenue, which is the road that is from 106 and is a quarter of a mile from the beginning of the development, could maintain and handle the 8 additional residences. So number of years ago, 5, 7 years ago, there was a project called Spring Creek Tri-Tributary Project where they tried to improve water and improve the flow of Spring Creek. That many years ago, they just increased that road, raised it up and improved it, widened it, and have road signs on the other side with the little reflective lights. That road has already been built up and is very able to handle the 8 additional lots. And so they have given us permission to move forward. I've also taken this another step, and we've met with Lincoln County Rural Water. Wanted to understand the type of water main I was going to need in this property to sustain my home and the 8 homes that I would like to have built. One of the things that it's a really big benefit for Lincoln County that they're excited about with the rural water is I currently get my water from the north. There are 6 homes north of my residence that's where I'm tied in on. The advantage is I'm going to tie in from the south. I have the easement already been granted from the neighbor directly south of me. That means Lincoln County can supply not only my development, but the 6 homes behind me with a bigger water main, improving the water flow, and it's more of a circular loop. So it's actually to the advantage that we do that with Lincoln County. So they were excited about that. Basically, all the homes would be supplied with individual septic systems, just like everyone is out there. And I believe everything else we've already worked with. We've got Southeastern Electric. We have individual propane tanks. So everything is pretty sufficient and pretty good. So all in all, this area is a very unique development. It's a gem for Lincoln County, and I'm excited to have this available. Any questions?
Any questions for the
I
developer?
do have one, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. Mr. Kruger, I do have one question regarding the 2 other eligibilities. Would you be willing to comment why you did not include your own home and the other eligibility into the rural subdivision property plan?
At this time, when I bought the land a number of years ago, I've used one housing eligibility to build my house, which is what I have out there. I've lived out there for 5.5 years now. I do have one other housing eligibility that I haven't determined what I was going to do with it yet. It just, I don't know if I'm going to use it or not.
Okay.
If you had just simply included that property into the rural subdivision plan, I mean, you would have still had an eligibility in essence. I'm just unclear as to why you wouldn't have included that, because you'll be servicing this planned rural development as well as the 2 eligibilities off the same road. Is that not correct?
Can you repeat that? I'm not sure what you're asking.
The 2 eligibilities, I think you're retaining on the end of the road that's going to service the planned development. If you had included that, you would obviously have kept your own home, and then also you would have been able to include that other into a buildable parcel. I'm just not clear as to why we would want to have mixed use of land, in this development area.
So if you look at this property, I'm not sure I'm going to answer this question correctly, but if you look at this property, it's a very rolling hills. There's not a lot of flat land for buildable sites. It's mostly an incredible view. It's we've got a creek, I've got a pond that I overlook outside my house. I see into Iowa from where I stand right now. It's a beautiful area, and I haven't decided if I would ever use the housing eligibility, the extra one, or not. But at this time, I was only intending to develop 18 of the 57 acres.
Thank you for the comment.
Further comments or questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you, Toby, for our records, do you want that read into the record on what we're voting on? Do you think that's necessary? Pardon? We're fine with it? Okay. Are there any more questions from representatives of Lincoln County? If not, I'm going to call for a motion for approval or disapproval. I want some action, so we need, since we have 3 of us here and 1 on the phone, let's get on with our business.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to move forward with this. Gillespie?
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? We have a motion. Commissioner Poppins, since this may seem rather unique, but you are the vice chair, and I will move my chairmanship for now and to you.
If you would allow me, I would second the motion for discussion.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion on the floor made by Commissioner Gillespie and seconded by Commissioner Poppins to approve the rezone of this property. Further questions, comments on the part of Lincoln County Commissioners? I will make this comment. I have been out to this territory. I have visited this territory. I find it actually a beautiful spot for whoever gets the privilege of purchasing these properties. And I do think it fits well within that whole area because of that developments that are already out there. I think we even have some road districts out there as well. So I see really no reason why this shouldn't be approved, quite honestly. So that's my comment. Commissioner Landine, do you have one you'd like to offer for the record?
I'm just, and maybe I'm not quite following, but the, Ms. Kruger's residence, that's going to be a cutout in the middle of this rezone, and that's going to remain A1? That's my question. Or is it going to be part of the rural residential area if it's approved?
I'll go back to the project's layout. So only the part that's identified in yellow on the screen would be rezoned to rural residential. The property to the south, you can see there, that's floodplain. We did work with the applicant that it's advisable not to have floodplain associated on the lots. So that part will be left off. And then as she mentioned, her house is identified in that piece directly to the right. And then the rest of the property has quite a bit of slope in there. So at this time, staff is comfortable with proceeding with really the developable portion being rezoned to the rural residential, and the remainder just being A1 agricultural.
It's still a mix of use in that area, correct, Toby? I mean, we just dealt with this in another area. We frowned upon it at that time, and I still frown on this circumstance.
Yeah, I would define it more that we're upzoning a portion of it for development, and the remainder is remaining as is, which is A1 agricultural.
Questions?
The only other comment I have is, if I may, Mr. Chairman,
yes,
is the fact that we're facing an undue growth of expenditures in our budget. And part of that is our sheriff's department. And I have spoken with our sheriff's department about activities that are going on in rural areas. I think we need to step aside on this and make sure that we have directed our staff to look at issues that have been raised because of this request for rezoning, to make sure that we have in place the proper procedures and requirements so that the general taxpayer of the county do not have to have the burden. Because I'm sure, no offense to the city of Sioux Falls, but it is not them that is going to end up having to be called upon to improve any township road or improve the protection that needs to happen in this area. I'm just urging caution on this one, and direct to our staff to deal with some of the questions that have been raised. Thank you.
Commissioner Promise, I could agree with you on the impact, but on the other hand, we have several residents out there, 70-some residents out there that already are being taken care of. I don't know that these additional 8 are going to be unduly burdensome to our sheriff's department with a number of houses that we already have out there. So I do understand, I do respect your opinion on that regard. Are there other questions or comments? If not, I'm going to have Sean call the roll on the motion to approve this rezone of this Kruger property.
Commissioner Gillespie,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine,
With hesitancy for the reasons stated by Commissioner Poppins, I will vote yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
No.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Yes. Motion carries 3-1.
All right, I'd look for a motion on the city side.
Move to approve, Erickson.
Second, Star.
All right, motion approved by Erickson and seconded by Starr. Is there discussion on the city? Seeing none, we'll take a vote, please.
Councilmembers Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson.
Yes.
Kylie.
Yes.
Nitzert.
Yes.
Selberg. Sale.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Staley.
Yes.
All right, that item passes on the city side. And so overall, that item has passed.
That's right.
That's right. Agenda item, one more item. Agenda item 2.
A resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving the preliminary plan of bridges of Spring Creek Addition located in Lincoln County.
Okay, Lincoln County will ask for a motion, or we'll get it.
Well, we got, yeah, Toby,
You got to talk about
So
it.
this item corresponds with the
I got
item
my
that we
cheat
just
sheet
had.
all screwed up, Toby, that's why.
As Jason mentioned previously, this application has gone through the SIRE process. Those comments have been resolved. Staff does recommend approval of this item. Planning Commission did also have the public hearing on this at their Planning Commission meeting. They unanimously decides recommended approval on this item. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions, as well as the developers' representatives are in attendance as well to answer any technical questions that you might have. Okay, thank you.
Toby, clarification.
Yes?
Why do we even vote on it? We have no control over the subdivision plan.
We have a joint jurisdictional agreement with the City of Sioux Falls. Through that process, plating authority somewhat reverts back to the county. So after the City of Sioux Falls has approved plats in this area, I sign off as the planning director for Lincoln County. And so this process, we're invited back into this process. So we do have jurisdiction to approve this.
Just through the
along with
joint
city.
jurisdictional question. Thank you for the clarification.
Yep.
Do we have anybody from the audience that would like to speak on this measure? We have anybody from the Joint Commission that would like to speak on this or have any questions? If not, I'll call for Lincoln County for a motion for approval or disapproval.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we move forward with this plan. So,
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie. Do we have a second?
Second, Landine.
Second by Commissioner Landine. Further comments or questions? Hearing none. Sean, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gillespie,
yes.
Commissioner Landine,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
No.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Yes. Motion carries for 3-1.
All right, I look for a motion on the city side.
Second, Brecky.
All right, a motion to approve this item by Kylie, seconded by Brecky. Any discussion, city? Seeing none, we'll take a vote, please.
Councilmembers Brecky,
Yes.
Erickson. Kylie.
Yes.
Nitzert.
Yes.
Selberg.
Yes.
Sale.
Yes.
Starr.
Yes.
Staley.
Yes.
All right, that passes the city side, so that item passes as well. Public input. Anyone here for public input? I see none. Let's adjourn this baby. Jim?
Yes, Lincoln County to vote for adjourn this joint jurisdiction meeting. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Commissioner Landine, do we have a second?
Second, Gillespie.
Commissioner Gillespie. Hearing no other comments or questions, Sean, roll call, please.
Commissioner Gillespie,
Yes.
Commissioner Landine,
Yes.
Commissioner Poppins,
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt.
Yes, motion carries 3-1.
All right, motion
Four
adjourned.
zero.
Move to adjourn, Star.
All right. Do I have a second? All right, motion adjourned by Starr, seconded by Kylie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right,
Hit the ground.
we're adjourned. Thanks.